Good evening, this is the Oscar expert here with Brother Bro. And the Oscars have recently announced some changes that they're trying to make to the ceremony because their ratings aren't good and they're very upset about it. Now, there's a lot of reasons that the Oscars ratings are going down, and we're going to talk about a lot of those reasons. And a lot of the ways the Academy is trying to approach this problem and trying to solve it are very cringy, and I think they're really doing it the wrong way, and a lot of fans of the Oscars feel this way, and especially with the most recent move that they've made, a lot of the nominees are not happy either.
So the Academy released in a very defensive statement that they're going to film the reception of 8 awards before the ceremony and then edit them into the broadcast.
They are doing this with the entire packed Dolby Theater. Like, everybody's going to be there. There's going to be an applause. There's going to be a speech. They're going to film the whole thing and just trim it down to make sure it takes up as little time as possible when you insert that into the show later. And they claim that it'll be a seamless sort of transition and you're not even going to notice when you're at your home watching.
Yeah, it's definitely not as crude as some people are saying, where they're like cutting categories. They've previously received backlash for presenting such categories off air in 2019, and that was met with severe enough backlash that they decided to not change it at all. And in this statement, they did try to make it very clear that all the speeches would be shown and that all the nominees would be announced, but we don't know in what capacity. And my question is, if you do want to show the speeches and you do want to show those moments where they realize they've won the award, then like how much are you actually cutting out? Are you cutting out like their walk to the stage? That's about like 30 seconds. So, is that 4 minutes from the show that you want to cut? Like, why can't you kind of expedite the fluff in between the awards? And I think the answer is we should be kind of afraid of like how much they want to cut out of these speeches and how much of these moments they are going to take away.
And by the way, the categories they're cutting are the 3 short films, makeup and hairstyling, score, production design, and editing. Apparently the Academy presented a sample of what this would look like, and someone who saw this sample says they basically took the 92nd Academy Awards documentary short category and edited down. They say that they cut out some of the applause after the film was named, after each nominated film was announced. But most concerningly, this person says it sounds like they cut the speech in half and used B-roll so that they could cover it up and it's not going to seem like they cut the speech out, but that is disrespectful if you're cutting into people's speeches. That's really one of the biggest concerns that people have about this change.
I think the main source of the outcry was imagining these nominees who are about to have their big moment. Some of them will get to go up on stage and they've just been told that their screen time is expendable. And in a more broader sense, that their whole category is kind of unimportant and that it's subject to being included or excluded from the show depending on whatever whims the Academy or the network have in mind. And it also begs the question, like, why are these categories being left out, but the other ones are being kept in? Like, when you start picking and choosing which categories get the speeches and the screen time, it starts to feel like you're changing the value of what these branches bring to movies. And it's not really fair because each branch within the industry is a vital part of the films.
I mean, the reason that they're cutting them is because they think that the public doesn't care about these categories, which, like, maybe it's true. I mean, surely the public doesn't really care about the short films. And there are some of the tech categories that your average viewer of the Academy Awards is like, skip this one, I don't really care, I don't know what that means. But instead of trying to cater to the GP, what they should be doing instead is trying to hype up people about these categories and say, hey, production design is actually really fucking cool. Music in movies is really cool. Here's a sample of what the production design looks like in these amazing movies. Here's what the music sounds like. And now maybe you care a little bit about who's going to win the award in a minute.
There's lots of creative things you can do here. Like, what if you had the production designer from Apocalypse Now come and do like a 1-minute story or a vignette on some challenge they faced with production design. And then we get to see some clips of the nominees and their achievements in production design. Then you kind of bring people into the event and you keep them close to that spirit of what the Academy Awards are actually about. And I really do feel like this amendment to the show format shows that the Academy Awards don't know what the Academy Awards are for. In reading an article that shared some of the perspectives of these branch members whose categories are being curtailed, some of them pointed out the Oscars should be a night to celebrate all the labor and artistry that combine to bring the stories to life on the screen. Another said the Academy's mission is to honor the craft of filmmaking in all its parts. If you start with that principle, there are so many creative things where you could just bring people in and pique their curiosity about the craft. Movie making is magical, and I don't know know anybody who I would care to have a conversation with that wouldn't at the very least be interested in some behind the scenes info on what goes into making a movie. Everyone watching the Academy Awards has some minuscule, basic curiosity about the film industry, even if they don't know what cinematography means. Teach them what it means in a new and enlightening way every single time they watch the Academy Awards. I don't understand why the show can't be like really dedicated to sharing what these branches do and just celebrating the work that we're here to celebrate. Just a quote from the Academy's statement about this decision. The rationale is that we must prioritize the television audience to increase viewer engagement and keep the show vital, kinetic, and relevant. And they don't think that sharing the craft of movie making is vital, kinetic, and relevant enough for the audience. And my assumption is that what they do think is relevant, probably what like ABC is telling them is relevant, is having people perform songs, have it be a little bit like a concert, have people clap their hands. Being relevant is doing what they think people want them to do. And so it's like, I'll be whoever you want me to be. If I have to wave my hands around and wear a clown nose and juggle with a blindfold, I'll do it. I'll do it if it makes you like me, if it makes you watch me. But think about like a high schooler who's like going through high school and all they want to do is be liked by everybody. So they just like take on the traits that they think the most people are going to be appealed by. You don't want to hang out with that kid. Maybe you were that kid, but you're not that kid anymore because you realize that it sucks to be that kid. The best kinds of people are people who kind of bring you into their world and they make you see through their eyes what they find is interesting.
Another thing that the Academy thinks is a problem with the Oscars is that the movies aren't popular enough. And this might be true. It might be a reason why some of the decline is happening. Last year especially, people weren't really engaging with movies the entire year. A lot of the blockbusters got pushed, so they had to nominate indies. The landscape of movies is changing, and the types of movies that the Oscars nominate are changing too. Now, they still have Dune and Don't Look Up, everyone's heard of those. They still nominated Joker and Bohemian Rhapsody and Black Panther, and they've nominated some blockbusters in recent years. The trend of the Academy going more indie has to do with a lot of factors. It has to do with, just the changing trends of Hollywood. The audience is not supporting movies like The Last Duel and Nightmare Alley anymore, so sorry.
They're not supporting movies in theaters as much.
Whatever the factors may be, it's annoying that the Academy is ashamed that they're nominating movies like Drive My Car now, and they're afraid that people will tune out because Spider-Man No Way Home isn't there. That might cause people not to watch if they don't care about broadening their horizons with movies and they want to stick to Marvel. The Oscars should just say, fuck those people. Like, if you're watching for Marvel, you're not going to get Marvel, so sorry. The reason we know that they think this is a problem is because recently they did like the whole Oscars fan favorite thing where they're asking Twitter to vote on their favorite movie and also their favorite movie moment. And this is a very desperate attempt to get Spider-Man No Way Home some recognition at the Oscars because it only got nominated for visual effects. And they think that's the only movie people care about this year. I don't hate this because it's not like they're giving the movie an Oscar. It's just a little silly. It's also funny that apparently Cinderella is like leading the poll, which is hilarious because that's just a huge backfire on what they wanted. We also know that they think this is a problem because of the most popular film thing they introduced years ago. They thought that was a good idea and it was like, please no, and then they listened.
It's like a Coen Brothers behind the desk guy yelling, people want to see the movies nominated that they go to see in the theaters. And it's like the guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just yelling very aggressively. Maybe people don't need to see the movies that they see in the theaters at the Academy Awards.
It doesn't matter that Free Guy and Godzilla vs. Kong didn't get nominated. People are going to complain about it. They're going to bitch and they're going to wet their diapers about it. But the Oscars should say, we nominated Drive My Car. Let's show you that maybe this would be a cool excursion for you to go on. Own the fact that you nominated these movies and make everybody think that the movies are super cool and that they're missing out for not seeing them. That's why the absence of clips last year was a disaster. And this year, thankfully, they will have clips.
All the people in the Academy are there because of their achievements and because they've worked in the industry. They know what goes into making a film. Own the fact that you're the experts and that you actually watch the movies. Instead of being like, I'm sorry, I didn't like Spider-Man as much as Power of the Dog, I'm sorry. They're not the media. There's no further agenda than just honoring what they think is the best in craft. If the Academy Awards were a horse track and someone said, actually, pigs are pretty trendy right now, They would just paint the horses pink.
They're thinking of all these ways that they can pander to people who don't actually care about the cinema, when there's a lot of ways that you could maybe get people to care about cinema. They should make the show as if every audience member is Buddy in Belfast sitting in the movie theater being like, duh? And they're gonna awaken these children to the power of movies. And if all this doesn't work and the ratings still go down, you gotta at some point just say, we're broadcast fucking television. It's a dying thing. It's not just the Oscars. It's not even just an issue with movies necessarily. The Emmys, the Grammys, all these televised awards shows the ratings are going down. And still the Oscars have better ratings than those two. The Oscars also get better ratings than the Bachelor finale. Like, for what it's worth, that seems like a decent amount of people still tune in. But you're not gonna be able to save it. I don't even know if they're going to get back to 20 million.
But it's a lot because the live TV audience is shrinking. So it's not because people are necessarily losing interest in the show. People are just not watching as many live TV events.
I mean, it might be both. It might be that some people are like, I don't know the movies. Fuck this. I don't know what movies are nominated. And then other people are like, too much politics in the Oscars, because when one person says like a political thing, they're like, and they can't handle it because they have like a woke radar that goes off. Like anytime someone mentions anything relating to race.
That happens at the fucking football games though. Like that happens at fucking football games. So there's like nothing these days that the media could do that please those fucking people who complain that everything is too politically correct and they won't even watch it.
I mean, that is a big stated reason from people who don't watch the awards. But honestly, I feel like those people just don't care that much anyway.
When you poll people and you say, hey, you don't watch the Academy Awards? Oh, let's hear why you don't watch them. It's really easy to be like, yeah, I just think they're a little too PC for me. It's a really easy thing to check off on a survey, but you're kind of just attributing a reason to something that maybe you just don't give a fuck about in the first place.
Yeah, the matter of fact is, if they liked the movies more, they'd still watch. No matter how many knees Colin Kaepernick puts on the ground, people still tuned into football even if they didn't like it because they just loved football. And that kind of passion maybe just doesn't exist for the Academy Awards, and it's okay. It's okay if it doesn't. Because first of all, pandering is just not going to work. Like, it's not going to work if you give some fake moment to Spider-Man No Way Home. People can see through that.
Because they're like, oh, we didn't nominate Spider-Man. Well, what movie did you guys like? You guys like Spider-Man, right? Oh, we're going to talk about Spider-Man. Don't worry. It's just embarrassing.
Maybe when the contract for ABC is up, or maybe if ABC changes their mind, the Oscars should start thinking about incorporating other ways to broadcast the program. I'm talking live streaming. I'm talking TikTok, Instagram, all those things. Figure out a way to adapt because things are changing. You are not going to get your audience back. It's very obvious that people have different ways of consuming media, different habits. Even the way that people are consuming movies is changing.
And they're definitely beholden to the big Coen Brothers guy behind the desk again, network that is ABC. And that is probably the reason that they're doing these things. It's probably not the Academy people just deciding, yeah, I think people probably think this way. Let's do this change. It's probably ABC going, we know what's best for the audience, and we know that we want you to make a certain amount of money. We have to please our ad shareholders. So we have to understand that they're beholden to this because they get ad revenue. And they're just doing what they think they have to do to keep eyeballs on the screen.
I mean, it makes sense that they want the ratings to be good. It makes sense that they want eyes on the Oscars. I mean, it does matter that the Oscars are important. It matters that they have a good reputation, because the more people who watch the Oscars, that kind of means the more people who have these movies on their radar. It's kind of what it's all about, spreading the love for movies. But they shouldn't sell their soul to do it. And I hope they reverse this decision. I think that there's going to be a lot of backlash that's going to continue. Apparently, there are some rumors that certain branches are thinking about boycotting the awards if they move forward with this. And there's plenty of reason to think that we could maybe still have a good ceremony. Like maybe they are thinking about some cool ways to spread the love of cinema. But some of these announcements that they just keep trying to cram in are a little cringe.
I guess we're being pretty idealistic and assuming that people will be just engaged with the show if there's not like all the dazzle, maybe more comedy or like more songs or musical numbers, something like that. Like maybe that is why some people tune in and I just don't realize that. Like for example, people tune into the Super Bowl for commercials and for the halftime show, which have nothing to do with football, which goes very much against my entire argument That is that they should just keep it about the movies.
Let us know if you're a fan of the Pandering and what you'd like to see at the show. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing.
Do you think they'll still give Spider-Man Best Picture?